Government of Canada is making changes to your mortgages. Will that run up prices? Yes, all this and more with our good friend and mortgage broker, Mr. Dion Beg, right after this. Here we are, my friends, back with our favorite mortgage. Let me try that again. Here we are, my friends, back with our favorite mortgage broker in all of the land, Mr. Dion Beg. How you doing, my man?
Hey, man, I'm tired. I'm sitting down today. I've been working too hard.
Working too hard. Well, maybe that's a good thing. Who knows? But as we finish out this year, there's lots of stuff still to happen. News, I should say, or changes. We're going to get into that today because we are filming this December 4th, and that's December 4th, as I can spit out my words. And there's some changes that are happening December 15th by our favorite governing body of Canada and doing all sorts of things. There's two big things happening in the next couple of weeks, Dion, right?
That's right. Before that, we actually have a Bank of Canada meeting where we have an interest rate decision. And yeah, a lot of people are speculating that we're going to get more positive news there.
More positive, meaning a reduction. That's what Dion's alluding
positive
to.
As a reduction. That's when less is actually better.
Yes, right. Less is better, less is more. The other thing we're going to jump into is if interest rates are coming down and there's all these changes that Dion's going to walk us through again, because it's important to understand how it affects your home buying purchase and decisions. I know people are on the sidelines say, well, that's going to run up prices, or we've got some data to share with you where we're going to kind of peel that onion away and really see if that's the case over the next several months. So let's start with the changes, Dion. And I know we covered this before, but as we get closer and closer to that changeover date, there's kind of some significant things that buyers and sellers got to know.
Yeah, well, this is actually top of mind for me because I just wrote an article for a magazine on this topic. And it really is talking about the fact that these mortgage insurance changes, which now allow, in particular, the 30-year amortizations. Yes, we'll be able to go up to 1.5 million as an insurable value. But the 30-year amortization is really what I want to talk about here, which is that ultimately means that monthly payment is going to be made more affordable. And what I was doing is I was looking at the historical interest rates from a year plus ago versus interest rates now. And the fact that before we had a 25-year amortization and now we're going to be able to get a 30-year amortization. And the key difference here, Gary, is from about a year and a half ago to today, the affordability has increased by 25%, meaning more Canadians are now going to be able to afford that monthly payment. The average price, I just did some math here on a $700,000 mortgage, that monthly payment is going to drop by approximately $1,200 a month. And that's a significant chunk of change. And what we're seeing inside our brokerage is more and more people making inquiry because they understand that, okay, you know what, we're seeing these rule changes, we're seeing interest rate changes, and those two things together are resulting in this massive saving.
Yeah, there's some power in that knowledge, and I think what people just sometimes fail to realize is asking a couple of questions to a great mortgage broker and the like. It can save them a tremendous amount of money just by having a little bit of knowledge, right? And understanding where they fit in the market.
Oh yeah, and current knowledge, meaning just recently I spoke with some clients who earlier this year went to their bank and got a pre-approval number and an associated monthly payment. And they just sort of stayed out the market for a very long time. But they were referred to, because the numbers didn't work for them, but they were referred to me by their realtor. I showed them today's numbers and they were really surprised in that, the stuff that was not possible in January is now possible for them in December.
That's right. And I know what people are thinking. Well, if I wait more or I wait longer, maybe I'll have even more opportunity to buy, or the numbers will fit better. And you know what? You might be right. We actually don't know. Here's two professionals in the industry. We just never know what 6 months from now is going to tell us or be like. But we do, and we can interpret what's happening today, and that's exactly what Dion's alluding to and saying is we need to have that monthly check-in. We have monthly checkups with your doctors and dentists and everything else. You still need to check in, especially when the market is moving as fast as it is. When I mean as fast, Dion, we like meaning the government is making changes on our behalf, and we need to stay on top of those, right?
That's it. Yeah, if you're out of the market for more than a couple of months right now, yeah, you blinked too long.
Yeah, you blinked too long. Okay, so with these market changes, or I should say, with these government implementations, and we always know that markets change when governments start interacting or tinkering with them, and it's driving your monthly payment down. Essentially, is what's happening right now. Right now, excuse me. The opposite conversation of that is you have a lot of people saying, "Well, the last time they did that, the average price skyrocketed and became almost unattainable. Well, it became unattainable for a lot of people, and there's a lot of you know a lot of people that got pushed out of the market and still are, in fact, today. Is that going to happen again? That's
Well,
that's the
every
sentiment right
TikTok
now.
realtor will be telling you, yes, prices are going up $1 million. That's what every realtor on TikTok will be telling you right now.
that
Right.
you're probably right. You're probably right. There's
But I think you and I have been around a little longer than most in the industry, maybe Gary, and we know that while that is true, under certain economic circumstances, um, the economic circumstances are very different today as it relates to supply and demand and days on market. And I know you have some data around that, right?
I am, and I hadn't planned on sharing the screen, but I'm going to share it. We'll see if we can walk people through it. So these are the stats right out of Toronto Real Estate Board that we have access to. See if I can see if I can make it
Yeah.
bigger. I'm doing the wrong thing.
Okay. You just
Anyways,
talk
so
us through it.
this is for the month of October for all of the GTA as well as year to date. And what I want people to focus on is a couple of things as I highlight this is our grand total, our number of sales is just over 58,000 year to date from January 1st to the end of October. In
58,000 total sales. Okay.
total sales. Uh, your average price, and I don't like looking at year to date average price. I want to look at the most recent average price. So the data we have for that's October is 1.13, all property types. So if you're looking at the screen, go ahead and pause it. If you have a detached home, you're sitting at 1.46. If you have a condo apartment, 694, so it's gone under that $700,000 mark. So that's a good thing for affordability. So look at
Mm.
those numbers. Pause this if you need to. But here's what I want people to understand: a good moving market, and I'm focusing on this right here. Our grand total number of sales, Dion, is currently, as I just said, 58,433 to be exact. To the end of October, we'll probably see approximately another 5,000 homes sold in the month of November. That number will probably average out to be about that same number for December. So let's, on the conservative side, say another 10,000 homes sold by the end of the year, which
Okay.
takes us to 58,000, of course. Sorry, 68,000.
68. Yeah.
That is still one of the lowest number of sold homes in the last 30 years.
30 years. And the thing around that, Gary, is 30 years ago, our population wasn't 41 million. If I was to guess, it was probably in the low 30 millions, maybe high
Yeah.
20 millions.
Yeah.
Somebody fact check us. I don't know. But but proportionately, yeah, we've got, let's say, 30% more population, and yet we're hitting 30-year lows in transaction volume, which is absolutely insane.
Exactly. And in those years, those COVID years that we all remember, the pandemic years, we were hitting 110,000, 120 plus thousand sales in that top year. 2021, I believe it was. And which is, not half of the sales that we have now, or double, I could say, but approximately 45-ish% more. And we have a long way to go.
Yeah,
A
so
long,
I mean, there are two extremes we're talking about here. So the extreme right now is around 60,000. The extreme in 2021 was about 120,000. So what is that normal number in terms of transaction volume?
yeah, I like to see, and I know I've heard this said before, around 90,000 resold homes every year. condos, detached, semis, you name it, your resale home. Approximately 90,000. That means typically the buyer's pretty happy, the seller's pretty happy, your local economy is doing well. There's no big run-ups of numbers. Your local building suppliers are doing well, your contractors are doing well. Everyone's happy. That's a good
Okay.
moving market. So in that case, that's 30,000 more homes sold that we still can go, and we're still in that happy balanced market. So 30,000, that's 50% more homes sold
Right. Okay.
as of today's current numbers. So we still have a ways to go.
So, I mean, we can't see the future, but it might be fair to say that a market like Toronto, which in the last 15, 20 years has only ever been a deep seller's market or a deep buyer's market, we might actually be coming into an extended period of time where we might have a balanced market.
I,
That's how you might interpret this info.
I think you're right, Dion. And just understanding this data, to do a 30,000 home sale jump, could it be done in 1 year? Yeah, I think it could be, but I think it's going to take a couple of years. So with your statement, I think we are entering a balanced market for the next, 24 months, perhaps, which gives everyone a good opportunity to get into the market or to make that move up, move down, the right size, whatever, wherever you find yourself. And like I said, there's a lot of opportunities that are going to be coming over the next 24 months. I don't think we're going to see prices jump 10% a month as we did, the early 2020s type thing, right?
And I think that's a healthy thing. I don't think anybody wants to see 10% a month jumps ever again. That was absolute madness. But yeah, I mean, if we are going into uh, a balanced market, then it's the traditional old sort of fundamentals that we need to look at. And the opportunities which I've seen amongst my client base are always around people who need to sell, because in any market there are those people who need to sell. And we talked about this before about the I don't know how many D's there are, the 4 or 5 D's why people need to sell. And they are, and they're not positive things, so don't think I'm a doomsday, but these things happen. So death, divorce, disease, downsizing, or departure. Okay, so death, simple. Divorce, simple. Disease means sometimes, unfortunately, people are sick for extended periods of time and they need to sell because they got into financial trouble. Downsizing is that the house is too big for them and they need to move, or upsizing on the flip side. And departure meaning that either they are leaving the country or they're leaving their job and they're being impacted. And I think, one of the things that we're taught in Real Estate 101, Gary, is look for those circumstances in which to buy, because there are always people who are very happy to sell their property just so that they can move on to their next thing as quickly as possible. And a more balanced market means that we go back to these types of fundamentals where we talk when we look for these opportunities, not in a predatory way, but we want to be there if and when a person wants to sell their property to move on with their life.
Yeah. Yeah. And we've all been in different sales meetings or taken different courses on sales and things like that. And a good, smart educated buyer is a solution provider, right? At the end of the day. And that's essentially what your role is, what my role is to provide solutions and options. And if we're doing that, like you said, in a non-predatory way, you will have opportunities. And I know people will ask, well, if we're leaning on the market's moving, what is a fair market movement? So there's still lots of people are saying that the market's still going to come down another 20, 30%. And maybe in some little pockets that might be the case, and they will be right, and they will stand on their soapbox saying they're right. I don't see that, and I see our markets staying somewhat flat over the next 12 or so months. Uh, and in that 90,000 units sold or homes sold every year, 5% increase in your average price a year is good. which works out to be just shy of a half a point per month. And
Right.
that's kind of what we're leaning towards, but we got to work up to that. And I still think we have a long way to work up to that. So I like your 5Ds approach. Kind of don't seek out those opportunities, but just know that that's a
Well,
part of
yeah.
every life.
And this is where being an informed buyer, knowing market value is so important. So we say this to all of our clients, and I know you do this too, Gary, in that if you want to buy a property and you go out this weekend, you will not you will not buy a good deal even if it kicked you in the face, because you don't know it's a good deal until you've been in the market, educated on what value is on that street or that street or that street. And I think if you're a serious buyer, with the changes that are about to come, you need to use the next couple of weeks and months to really get educated in terms of what value is, because I'm trying not to be a shill, but I'm trying to look at what's actually going to probably happen, which is spring market will actually probably be a more normalized spring market in terms of real estate. And if you can be a person who before spring market is educated on values, then you'll see the opportunities when they present, and you won't have to double guess yourself at that time if you're paying the right price. Like get educated now, so when they present, and you know what, Gary, I've in the last week, unfortunately, I've spoken with a couple more people who have reached the end of their rope in terms of their debt servicing and other things, where it's like, okay, Dion, we've tried to hold it together this long, but now we have to sell a property. And so these opportunities are coming to market. Even though interest rates are down, the damage has been done for existing property holders in some cases who actually need to get out. So if you're looking to get into the market, you will be that solution that gives those people the relief that they need.
I like it. I like it. I don't want to get into this now, Dion, but remind me in the next video or two, talk about the doomsday articles and headlines that are going to come out in January and February, just based on what happened last year. So we're going to talk about that. It
Okay.
won't be. It'll be the truth, but it won't be the reality on where the current market is. I just know what's
Mm.
going to happen. I just do. So here we are, my friends. There's lots of opportunity. Stay informed and educated, especially as we move into this December month and as the government implements their changes to how borrowers can borrow money. And of course, be educated. Talk to people like Dion, and remind us, Dion, how do people get a hold of you?
Yeah, kangamortgage.ca or Instagram at the Dion Beg.
There you have it, my friends. That's Dion Beg. I'm Gary McGowan. We'll see everybody in the next episode. Goodbye for now.